You're listening to a 3CR podcast recorded in a 3CR community radio studio in Melbourne, Australia. If you like what you hear, please consider donating or subscribing so we can keep bringing you more independent community content. For more information, go to 3cr.org.au.
Slavery is back.
Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. And a warning, this episode of Doin Time contains audio images of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have died and discussion of deaths in custody. This is Marissa and I'll be with you for the next hour. Today's show is a special commemoration broadcast honouring Aboriginal teenager TJ Hickey, who died at the hands of police on 14th February 2004. First up, you will hear from Aunty Dianne, who will talk about TJ Hickey and the 2025 rally, which happened on the 14th of February at Waterloo Gree. We're going to talk about quite a few things, and I was talking to Aunty off air, and we spoke about the fact that it is a national disgrace about the deaths in custody. Then we will hear from Uncle Coco, who will also talk to us. Aunty and Uncle were both speakers at the rally. In between, you will hear coverage from the streets. On Invasion Day 2025, I interviewed Cheryl from ISJA Melbourne, and Rob also joined us too. They were both at the march. So Uncle Wayne Coco Wharton will follow after that. There is a rally for TJ Hickey 2025, as I said, hosted by Sydney Social ISJA Association. Oh my goodness, I'll start that again. Hosted by Indigenous Social Justice Association Sydney on Friday the 14th of February at 10 o'clock at Waterloo Gree. Since the Royal Commission into Black Deaths in Custody, every month on average there has been another death of an Aboriginal person, and also police operations. We will speak with Dianne, Aunty Dianne, about that. It's a shocking statistic and one we should all be ashamed of. Hello, Aunty. Welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, a bit flustered, to be honest. It's. I have to say, it's a really horrible time of year for me.
It is.
Yeah,
it is a very devastating time of the year.
Very devastating because for me, I get a reminder for TJ Hickey and all the other people that have died in custody, and also about Uncle Ray, who died as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Talk to us, Aunty. Tell us.
We had the rally.
What's going on?
We had the rally over on the 14th over we call it TJ's Park. The greens over at the basketball court over at Waterloo. All the family met there, and we rallied from there up to Redfern Police Station, and we stopped on the way, and we called out deaths in custody, stop deaths in custody, and stop child abuse, and we've done a lot of things. What I'm trying to do is try to get a class action together, because I think it's about time we all come together and try to stop these deaths from happening. They've been educated enough. You know, we had a Royal Commission into this, and it's still continued and allowed to continue to happen. No one is found guilty. Every trial ends up the same matter. They say they're going to educate the work people. in caring for our people while they're in custody. Well, we're yet to see that happening. Nothing's come about it. Nothing's come about the Royal Commission. Deaths allowed to still continue to happen within all of our communities. We haven't even got time to heal, and then we've got another death in custody. Then we're running to that and trying to get some justice for the families, and we're trying to get justice for all families. But it continues to happen. I think it's about time as Aboriginal people come together and sit down and talk about these issues and try to put down a platform and put it to the government and make them accountable for what they're allowing and continue to allow to happen.
Exactly. I mean, I think one of the things that I was quite appalled about, and just a content warning for listeners, that this is going to be pretty horrific, what I'm about to say. But I just think with TJ Hickey, the way he was murdered at the hands of police, impaled on the fence there, and, you know, they wanted people to see it as an accident. It was not an accident.
Yes, that's right. It was an accident. It was murder. He was chased to his death. And we as the Hickey family still say it was not accident, it was murder. It was cold-blooded murder. And none of them has been accountable for it. And my dear old cousin Bowie, you know, she fought this to the very end of her life, and stood up and fought against it and fought against everyone being arrested and institutionalised. And she even was buried in the Greens.
Yeah.
And fought it within her spirit, right, in the dreaming.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And are you are TJ's auntie, is that right?
Well, TJ's mother is my first cousin, second cousin.
Okay. And
but culture-wise, I'm his auntie, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you've also had experience as well of a loved one in custody yourself, haven't you?
I have. I had a young nephew that died in incarceration, Eric Whittaker. Eric died of a blood clot to the brain and bleeding hemorrhaging. He got on the intercom and he tried to express himself and told him that he needed medical attention. They totally ignored him. They said that he was a spinner. They laughed and joked about it. It all came out in their statements and on the intercom, and it was quite sad. And we're still fighting for justice for Eric, and to be shackled to a bed, even though he's passing, you know, through his pass. And, it was... Yeah, I just stepped back for a while and just had to grieve, because I didn't grieve. I went out with a real fight, and it really sent me around the bend. And I've had to step back and take a look at the bigger picture, and these bastards, they're wrong, no matter which way. No matter which way you look at it. They say it's their justice, and they're in the right of the law, but they ain't. They ain't in the right of the law. It's murder.
It is.
And if it happened in any other community, well, the police would be there. They'd be trying to sort it all out, but they just chuck it under the rug when it comes to us Aboriginal Indigenous people of this land.
What land are you from?
I'm Kamilaroi.
Okay. And where does that stretch in New South Wales?
That stretches from Walgett right up to the Queensland border.
Wow, that's a big chunk, huh?
It is.
And I remember meeting you actually when the persecuted Hickey family there was that trial at Parramatta, and I did some work with you then with recording as well.
Yep.
In around 2010. What are your thoughts about the memorial plaque for TJ in front of the fence where he was impaled?
Well, I reckon they should allow it to happen. There's another plaque across the road about another elderly woman that died in that community, and I don't understand why they won't let TJ. Is it because it affects them? Because it makes us stand that they were in the wrong.
Yeah.
Is this the reason why? And we talk about our Clover Moore, our local member of council. Well, she should be supporting all this.
Yeah.
And what gives me a heartache when I hear from my own Aboriginal people call her Auntie Clover.
Oh.
You know, that gives me a heartache to all the politics we're going through and the things that she couldn't lighten up for us and lighten the burden and okay these things and allow it to happen.
It's disgusting, really.
It's very disgusting when you think of it. When it comes down to one person saying yeah or no,
Yeah.
and she's our local member, she's our Lord Mayor.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to give listeners a bit of a background here and maybe you can help me with this. So the memorial plaque for TJ is in front of the fence where he was impaled. And is it right, Auntie Dianne, that the public housing towers in Waterloo are planned to be demolished and replaced by private housing?
Well, I think it's not right at the moment until they settle that land down and figure out what they're doing with housing. And then they should put a plaque up for the family.
Correct.
Yeah, I think because there'd be no point putting it up now and they're just going to destroy it and they're not going to worry about it later and re-put it up because they're not going to do that. We know that. We know that. But we can still fight to put the plaque up when they finish demolishing and rebuilding it and asking them to put the plaque up there.
I think so. And that's very important. And in fact, so with the rally there, so that's with the 25 Memorial March, who was involved with that? Was that the Redfern community, the Hickey family, and the Indigenous Social Justice Association Sydney? Is that right?
Yes, it was. Yes, and Dave Bell had a lot to do with it and bringing it together and Gail herself, and the Aboriginal Justice, Gail
has always been very emotional.
Oh, she's very strong.
Yeah, she's strong. That's right.
She's very strong.
But I think what's difficult for her, I think, is doing any public stuff, with interviews, and it's fair enough too.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
It is really
to
heartbreaking.
talk about it. Yeah, it's very heartbreaking. Even though it's been all these years, it's still heartbreaking to even discuss it or to go through the episode again,
You can never get over something like that.
No, for any mother. For any mother, it's very heartbreaking. It's hard, it's hard to lose your child or bear a child and lose it just in natural form, natural causes. But when someone's life is taken, that's a different matter. This is murder. It's murder. It can't be called anything else. All these cases are murder. All of them. All deaths in custody cases are all murder. Now, why can't we have one or someone charged for these events? Why is there excuse, we still have to re-educate them within their workforce? This is murder carried out within the workforce, and it's allowed to continue to happen.
Well, the New South Wales Police didn't even follow the critical incident guidelines, did they, while TJ lay dying?
No, they didn't. They didn't do anything.
What a
they
whitewash.
Just continued to do it. And, and the funniest thing, it was a couple of our own Indigenous police that was pursuing the chase too. I thought they were there to help our people, not to pursue the chase and, it was the mannerism how they carried about pursuing. And TJ died because of mistaken identity. This must be said. The crime wasn't about TJ. It was about another young lad. He died because of mistaken identity. And no one is accountable for it.
Exactly.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yep, it is.
Excuse my language.
No, that's okay. And it's okay. Listeners can turn down their radio if they want to. But, there's a language warning, and Auntie's very emotional, isn't it, Auntie?
Yeah.
And it's okay. And even the inquest, the inquest found the New South Wales Police involved were not responsible for TJ's death.
Yeah, that's what they found. And that was a lot of baloney. They should have, when they came to that point of going through that narrow point between the high riser and the gap, it was only a narrow point. What did they think they could do? Drive their car through there? No, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to hit the back of the boat, which they did do, and the boat went up in there, and TJ came down on them, steel fence there.
Yeah,
the fencing there, and he came down on that point.
Well, I want
and even then, everything, the negligence of the ambulance, the negligence that came there, they should have saw that off. They should have taken that into hospital with that intact. They should have done everything underneath that operation table. They done that out in open air. They had no right to do nothing. All they had to do to TJ was to saw that. They caused this murder to happen. They caused all that to happen and take place.
It's really bad.
There was a right way and a wrong way to go about it, and they went around the wrong way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm really glad that you've come on to the show. I feel better now, but every commemoration, I'm always tongue-tied at the beginning. Because it's just so horrible,
It is. You don't know what to say. It's just...
I know.
And then you hear of the next passing, and then you just put your hands in your head, and you just feel like hitting yourself, or...
Yeah.
When is this rest of Australia going to wake up here and see this for what it really is? This is murder. This is murder, and it's allowed to happen within the work employment, and they're getting away with it.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope that no justice, no peace.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to get to that space. And hopefully we will one day and get some justice for all.
We will.
But this is a long fight. Even TJ's. Now look at Eddie Murray's. Look at his fight, how long it's been. No justice, no justice.
So the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody, those recommendations have not been upheld, and it's colonisation and genocide.
Well, I reckon we should take it back to court or march on the system. Pull in a big rally from all states and come down and march. Or we go to Hughes, or we go to Brisbane, or we go to Victoria. Let's do it. Let's do something about this. Let's come as one and do it. It's no good breaking off on little branches. We've got to come a full tree. We've got to do it all together.
Exactly. And you were a speaker at the rally. Is that right?
I got there a bit late, because they told me it was 11 o'clock, but apparently they started a bit earlier than what I thought.
That's right.
But yeah, I did get a chance to speak. Yeah, on behalf of Gail
and David
and
Bell,
our family. Pardon?
Well, David spoke as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, Aunty Dianne. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the program. As another year has gone by, I think it's been about 21 years. Yeah. And let's hope that this time next year there's more developments for the good.
Yes, well, we'll hopefully next time that we'll get some sort of feedback from them, whether they've laid the plaque and when will it be able to be done.
Let's hope so, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. You take care.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks for the yarn. Bye.
Bye.
And that was Aunty Dianne, and she was speaking about TJ Hickey, and she's a very important part of the commemoration broadcast for TJ.
3CR is one of a kind. We have 400 volunteers and cover an incredible array of programming content.
From special broadcast events on Invasion Day or Trans Day of Visibility to any of our 120 weekly shows, 3CR has got your radical radio listening covered.
Subscribe to 3CR at 3cr.org.au and support independent, community-owned media free of commercial influence and government bias.
Help to keep 3CR unique by becoming a subscriber today.
And you're back with the Doin Time show. In case people have just tuned in, this is a special commemoration broadcast for TJ Hickey. And next up, I'm going to be playing you a segment from Invasion Day. And I was at the march and was interviewing Cheryl from ISJA Melbourne, and also Rob joined us for a few words as well. Rob has been a part of the Doin Time show as well in the past. So without any further ado, I'll be playing this segment now. This is Invasion Day, 26th of January, and we have just finished listening to the speeches before people went to march. And this is Marissa from the Doin Time show. I have Cheryl here from ISJA, and I will leave Cheryl to talk about some of her impressions of the rally and why she is attending the Invasion Day rally. Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, Marissa. Happy Invasion Day, or should I say, commemoration, really. It's an Invasion Day commemoration.
Exactly. Can you tell us what it is that you experienced today at the rally and describe the atmosphere and the police presence and everything about it, really?
Well, the attendance was mind-blowing. Even coming up the station in Parliament Station, usually you're lucky to see a few people heading to a protest or a rally, but today there was just wall-to-wall people. They were heading, and obviously they had the colours on, the red, yellow and black, or, emblems to identify themselves. So we knew we were in for a big day. We got over on the steps, our ISJA group got over onto the steps, and it was just packed. It ended up being packed in Spring Street and Burke Street alike. Just a throng of people.
Tell us about the meaning of Invasion Day, because a lot of people in mainstream are simply not educated about Invasion Day. What does it mean?
Well, back in 1938, I think it was, when there was a group of Aboriginal elders, esteemed and wonderful Aboriginal elders, including William Cooper, and I can't remember the other names, can I? But they met up in Sydney, had a meeting, and I think they formulated the idea of holding a day of mourning, because, as we know, despite all the red, white, blue, hype and all the rest of it here now, it's not a day of celebration. It's a day that does mark the beginning of an invasion, if people are willing to accept that as part of the truth, and it is the truth. It wasn't a peaceful settlement, as we know, and it was the beginning, really, it marked the beginning of whatever happened next to continue on with a policy of genocide. It was supposed to be terra nullius, and this is how the land was not supposed to see, the people weren't supposed to see, the newcomers weren't supposed to see Aboriginal people. They were beneath them, they were sort of something else, something to get rid of.
All right, Rob. So you're a member of ISJA, Indigenous Social Justice Association Melbourne?
Yes.
And you came with the contingent today, didn't you?
I did, yeah. There was only a small group of us, but we got over there with our placards and banner. There was a big banner, our Stop Aboriginal Deaths in Custody banner. So, yeah, we were over there, and then most of them are gone to march, but at 77 years old and with wonky knees, so I piked out, and after an hour and a half standing on those steps over there, I really needed to sit.
But you're a veteran, Cheryl.
Yeah, I know. So are my knees.
Mob have done
So, but they were fantastic speakers too. Look,
tell us about those.
Oh, wow. I can't sort of, isolate them, but they were all just so good. Very powerful speakers. There was talks, some supporting, I suppose, the government-initiated treaty idea for Victoria, but then other people saying they haven't been consulted. You know, it was a good blend, I think. We heard voices that aren't normally heard.
That's right.
Really aren't normally heard. Yeah. But
and Professor Gary Foley was there, wasn't he?
Foley was brilliant, as always, because he's been involved in the Palestinian struggle, as people know, as well as the First Nation struggle for many, many years. He's been guests at their events and what have you, the Palestinian events. He speaks at a lot of the Sunday rallies here outside the State Library for the Palestinian rallies. He's never going to go away, and he's told people that we're here today, you know, when he's long gone, you know, it's up to us. It's, you know, all of us that remain, you know, to keep talking about it, educate. That's always this big thing. Really important, isn't it?
And in fact, there were quite a few events today. There was the dawn ceremony, which I'm hoping that I can air on the Doin Time show sometime, where they had actually honouring the names of people that died in the Frontier Wars.
Wow.
And it was quite a powerful ceremony. They've got a special broadcast today, 26th of January from 9 till 4 for 3CR, but I'm sure people will be able to listen back to that.
I'd love to hear that again, because I didn't make that.
There will be some highlights tomorrow. This is a pre-recorded show, so by the time this airs, it'll be next Monday. But that's okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Tune in always on 3CR. It's always good to
be spontaneous. But, but tomorrow, which is the 27th of January 2025, there will be some highlights from the special broadcast today from Invasion Day.
Fantastic.
For the Doin Time show.
Fantastic. And by the by, I think it might have been after the dawn service, it seems like there was an eviction at, or an attempted eviction at Government House, I hear. So a bit of flag burning and a little bit of a, you know, I suppose, taking back the rightful property, you know, which would be wonderful. Imagine the housing that could happen there. Exactly. You know, we say, you know, oh yes, if you voted yes in the referendum, we'll look after your housing, your education and everything else, you know. Well, just vacate these big buildings and turn them into, you know, accommodation. There you are, that's one.
Exactly.
You could have a school on site. You could have a school that's big enough.
But it's so important for people to be educated about Invasion Day, because, you know, I hear so many people saying, oh, it's Australia Day, we've got to celebrate. And it's not really about celebration, because as I said to a friend of mine off air today, what about all the children that have been stolen? What about deaths in custody? And also, you know, we need to have an honour roll of deaths in custody on this day. And what about also transgenerational trauma and stolen land?
You know, really, there's so much denial, unfortunately. And Robbie Thorpe often used to say, and I suppose he still does, that, you know, the longest river is denial. The longest river is denial.
It's true.
And that applies here. You know, there's so many people. You know, if you use social media, you see all the garbage that people are coming up with, you know, about Australia Day. You know, it's as if it's always been on the 26th of January. It hasn't. That's the other thing. So when we abolished it, you know, Viv Marlowe, the late Viv Marlowe,
awesome,
beautiful woman, First Nations woman, and, you know, look, we were here marching in those days. I could march, and when we were going along Swanston Street with all the people waving their red, white and blue flags, I still remember it. And she actually went over to them, you know, and just said, you know, explained what we were marching down the street for with our red, yellow and black, and explained it. And people were sort of, you could see them felt uncomfortable. They put their red, white and blue flags away, some of them, you know, those little ones they hand out, those ones, the crowd pleasers, they give, you know, they hand them out along, like lollies, you know, they hand them out along a line. And it was awful, you know, just seeing them. They're so, I don't know, brainwashed into thinking that, you know, that makes a country. Well, it doesn't make a country. Knowing your history makes a country. Or,
that's exactly
right. It makes a community, I'd say. So.
And what about you, Rob? Do you want to say a few words about Invasion Day? Well, because Rob is here with us as well, just for the benefit of listeners, and he has done a little bit of work with the Doin Time show as well in the past, and he's always been my behind-scenes supporter.
Australian Day is always about coming together as people from different cultures there and celebrating the protection and the rights that we have within the Constitution that we have here in Australia, that how can we come together if the Aborigines alone are not even included into the Constitution? And no matter where you are in the world, you should always respect the land and the people upon that land. And it's certainly not happening here in Australia.
I think it's been really interesting I don't want to discuss the referendum too much because a lot of people are still grieving about that. But Robert, you know what? It's good to have different viewpoints, isn't it, Cheryl?
Oh, totally. And you should be able to discuss things. And I mean, that's the way, I heard, I think it was a psychologist or something the other day saying, a lot of people, they just put the barrier up as soon as they don't agree with someone, or get really hoity-toity, really yelling and all that. But if you sit and have a discussion, often you can work through and say, oh, yeah, now I get that. Or, yes, now I understand what you're talking about. Because a lot of people didn't, even when they do their citizenship ceremonies, the new people to this land, they learn all about the man that wore the green baggy cap, was it Bradman or someone, the cricketer?
Yeah.
Donald Bradman. And, fair enough, that's something that for the people that came 200 years ago, it's something in their line of, I suppose, importance. But at the same time, you don't, and people aren't saying it's your fault, you did this and you did that, it wasn't me, that was years ago. No, it mightn't have been. But is there any harm in acknowledging it? Just acknowledge that it happened, You can be empathetic. It's like Anzac Day. We didn't know all the people that went off on, and fought the wars.
Well, definitely. Part of the respecting and acknowledging that it's their land is that they should say that, hey, here's your citizenship. You're on this and that land. This is this people's land.
Yes.
And also the people of this land should have a voice in Parliament, and they should have some power in Parliament. Exactly. Yeah. There's already 2 countries in this world that's already acknowledging that it's the only way that we can come together and to respect whose land you're on.
Yep, exactly. No. Cheryl, can you just talk about the police presence at the rally?
Yeah, well, as we walked over from our meeting spot, which was on the corner of Little Burke and Spring Street, just near the theatre complexes, we wandered over and lo and behold, who were you greeted by? But a big line of blue people.
Wow.
Police, just to make sure we weren't going to climb too far up on the steps, because they know we'd be trying to put our banners across the steps and hold our placards up. Yeah. So I guess, they were worried we'd, go further than permitted. Further than permitted, Can't have people holding placards up too high on the steps.
That's right. You can't. Cheryl was just saying you can't have people holding placards.
Yeah, I know. It's
Cheryl
sad.
and Rob, it has been a pleasure, and we'll catch you soon. And that was some coverage from Invasion Day 2025, the rally in Melbourne. And stay tuned for Uncle Wayne shortly.
If you're experiencing family violence, free legal support is available. You may need support with obtaining protection, setting up safe parenting arrangements, organising a new visa, getting into safe housing, or making sure bills and bank accounts are split fairly. Community legal centres have expertise in helping people who experience family violence and can provide confidential advice to help you understand your rights and legal options. Reach out today for guidance and support. Visit www.fclc.org.au and click Get Help to find a community legal centre near you. You don't have to face family violence alone. If you're currently in crisis, please contact Safe Steps on 1800 015 188. Federation of Community Legal Centres is a 3CR supporter.
I picked these flowers for you in a garden you grew for yourself. I hope if you were here you'd put them in a vase and on the table. How pretty. One day I'll give them all to you. Till then I'll be holding on because they're so pretty. You'd say how pretty. You'd say how pretty. Do you think they're pretty? How pretty. You'd say how pretty. You'd say how pretty. Do you think I'm pretty?
Celebrate all that unites us and host your own Feast for Freedom this autumn. Cook delicious global recipes curated by refugees and our guest chefs, and come together with your friends, family and community while raising vital funds for people seeking asylum. Register now at feastforfreedom.org.au. The Asylum Seeker Resource Centre is a 3CR supporter.
On International Women's Day, we're hitting the streets because women are still fighting for the respect, wages and safety we deserve. The march takes place on Thursday, 6th of March at 5:30pm, departing the State Library. We welcome all cis and trans women and anyone who stands in solidarity against gender-based injustice. International Women's Day is about radical change, demanding the changes we need for safety, respect and equality. RSVP at iwd25.com.au for updates. Victorian Trades Hall Council is a 3CR supporter.
In 1788 down Sydney Cove, first boat people land and they say, sorry boys, I gained your loss. We're gonna steal your land. If you break out new British law, sure, you're gonna hang. Or work your life like our convict with a chain on your neck and hands. And they taught us, whoa, black woman, thou shalt not steal. Hey, black man, thou shalt not steal. Gonna civilize your black barbaric life. And we teach you how to kneel. But your history couldn't hide the genocide. The hypocrisy that was real. Why our Jesus said, supposed to keep the oppressed. I better do say to you, you white man, thou shalt not steal. Oh, yeah, our land, you better yield. Your science and technology, hey, you can make a nuclear bomb. Development has increased in size to 3 million megatons. If you think that's progress, I suggest your reasoning is unsound. You should have found out long ago you best keep it in the ground. They taught us, whoa, black woman, thou shalt not steal. I said, hey, yeah, black man, thou shalt not steal. I'm gonna civilize your black barbaric life. And we teach you how to kneel. But your history couldn't hide the genocide. The hypocrisy that was real. Why your Jesus said you're supposed to give the oppressed a better deal. See you, white man, thou shalt not steal. Oh, yeah, our land, you better heal. Me and Neil and Ripner sitting underneath that Inverpilly Bridge, watching that blazing sun go down behind the tall tree mountain ridge. The land's our heritage and spirit here. The rightful culture's flag. We're sitting here just wondering when we're gonna get that land back. They taught us, whoa, black woman, thou shalt not steal. I said, hey, not steal. We're gonna civilize black barbaric lives, and we teach you how to kneel. But your history couldn't hide the genocide, the hypocrisy that was real. Well, Jesus said, supposed to keep your oppressed. I better do the say to you, the white man, thou shalt not steal. Oh, yeah, our land, you better heal. You talk of conservation, keep the forest pristine green. Yet in 200 years, your materialism has stripped the forest clean. And a racist a contradiction that's understood by none. Mostly that left hand holds a Bible, the right hand holds a gun. That's, oh, black woman, thou shalt not steal. Said, hey, black man, thou shalt not steal. We're gonna civilize your black barbaric lives, and we teach you how to kneel. But your history couldn't hide the genocide, the hypocrisy that was real. But your Jesus said, you're supposed to keep your oppressed. Let it deal. Say to you, you white man, thou shalt not steal. Oh, yeah, our land, you better heal.
And you're back with the Doin Time show, just trying to locate Uncle Coco at the moment. That you just heard a song by Kev Carmody, River of Tears. But, you know, a shout out to Uncle. If you're around, please give 3CR a call. If not, at least the commemoration for TJ was successful. We've done quite a bit of work today. And in the meantime, we'll bring you some more music and hope that we find him.
Cosmic. Whoa, boy. Absolutely. Wow. Fabulous. I'm so far out there. How come we in here? Need a white cane and a seeing-eye dog, bros. You beautiful. Like me.
Have just located Uncle, and pretty soon, right now actually, we're going to be speaking with him as part of the special broadcast and commemoration for TJ Hickey. Hello, Uncle Coco, welcome.
G'day, how are you? And g'day to all those countrymen down there and listeners.
I was just getting a little bit worried. I thought we'd wrecked the daylight saving thing.
Yeah. No, we got there.
We did. Thank you so much. Well, we're doing a special broadcast for TJ Hickey, and I wanted to invite you onto the show for him, really. And I'm wondering if you could just tell us your thoughts on it and also what land you're from.
Well, I think it's, to remember right, it was 21 years ago. Yeah. 21 years ago, and... it was about 2002.
Yeah.
And it's I was in Sydney the other day with the families, and I got quite by because I had another allies thing on the Thursday night, and the march was and the rally was on the Friday, and it was a good turn up considering it was a Friday. And you know, a mother's love, a family's anguish, you know, and a community's whole disappointment and, you know, bewilderment. That's all you can put it down to. To think that, you know, no one was charged, the evidence was on the table, and there's you know, the young people were calling out, his younger brothers, and families were calling out for justice. And we had no way of getting it. They 21 years later, just being ignored again. There was ample police there to escort the march. There would have been well over 10, 12 police plus other people that were hidden. And my heart goes out to the family. There's not a Aboriginal family around this country that's not affected by deaths in custody, murders, and deaths caused by police in one way, shape, or form. They took a responsible role in the killing of and taking of lives of our people. Whether it's a young fellow out at Kumajay Walker out in Alice Springs, or it's a young Hickey there, or it's the many aunties that we've lost in the system. And I think the number we're at now is something around 600 from the time we started counting, and that's not counting all the other ones in the last 250 years.
What a disgrace.
Disgrace, mate, is you know, it's gone past the disgrace. It's blatant racism. It's blatant racism, and it's the colony's most visual display of racism as a tool of the colony. If it's a black light, they don't give a shit about it. If it's a white light, they don't give much of a shit about it. But particularly the courts, the systems, the investigators, the coroners, total fabrication and the total willingness to hide and distract and just dilute the facts so that no one's responsible.
It happens all the time, doesn't it? People, like police lying on the stands, the witness stand, and deaths in custody, like the Royal Commission, none of the recommendations, very few recommendations have even been implemented.
None of them have been implemented. None of the ones that really matter about people being given a proper investigation, a proper process within the law, and proper access to the legal resources to fight your cases in the courts. And I think I'm 62 years old and going to be 63, and I just can't. Years ago, we used to get really, really angry as young men, and we'd retaliate and we'd fight and we'd cause all types of strife. But now, when our young men are going to jail, going to prison, and our women are going to prison, they're getting tortured. They're getting. We only just had another case in Long Bay last fortnight people like Dave Bell and the groups that support him, in the allies that support him in Sydney, I've got to give them a big shout out for the amount of misery and feelings that they deal with. They're only dealing with that death last week the other week in Long Bay, and where that same inmate was flogged in 3 different jails, belted and belted again in Long Bay and died. And that family, I pay my respects and condolences, but, they're really attacking us. They're attacking our children in the streets in Queensland here. They've made it legal for 10-year-olds to be charged with adult crimes, and that is utter ridiculous. So they're really targeting, and I've seen them working in Western Australia where the steroid transport security workers are really, 8 of them onto one young Aboriginal fella,
Yeah.
And they're really, 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 it's quite scary. When I was there in Western Australia, and I actually jumped off one of the buses to observe myself and Desmond Bluton dropped off a bus because we saw 8 couple of policemen and 8 security fellas trying to put the weights on a young black fella. And they're really targeting our kids. They're targeting our kids in the jails. They're targeting our kids in the detention centres. They're targeting them in the laws, and they're really trying to break our spirits.
And your land is where? What land are you actually talking about?
I'm a Cooma Murray. I come from Kalamala, little town called Kalamala. There's 6 nations that live there, but it's Kunja country, and it belongs to the Kunya people, and many of my cousins are Kunya. And but I've worked in Brisbane and nationally for the last 40 to 50 years, and I think monitoring anything from deaths in custody to fighting human rights cases and fighting for lands and justice. So my good friend Gary Foley and Robbie Thorpe, the great allies, and we've done a lot together. Yeah,
you have, and in fact, I think the King recently came out to Australia, and I think I interviewed you with Kieran a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah. Well, we've I was saying to Robbie Thorpe the other day, we've done a few couple of Commonwealth Games. Yep. Robbie and I first met Robbie back in 1982 when
Fantastic.
we were in the 82 Commonwealth Games, and we were young soldiers then, young men on the front line, and we've done the Gold Coast since then. We've done about 3 or 4 Commonwealth Games and 1 Olympics, and we're just wondering whether it'll be around for the next Olympics if they propose it in Brisbane for 2032. So, and a couple of kings and a couple of queens visits. We weren't as successful as the last time the Queen came to Melbourne, and we were able to close her down, but this time we tried to close the King down and send him and he witched back to England and wanted to send half the colony back with them while they knew the way. So, the King's visit, but more directly, being there with the family the other day in Redfern was very, very sad and was very, very touching. And but to see them, the commitment from the community and the family, really, I guess, gave me a bit of hope that that people haven't given up the fight and that the spirit's still there, and we still should be going ahead and supporting those things, and not just the 26th of January, but the allies listening to the community and the community identifying where the allies should be putting their energy.
Exactly, Uncle. And Australia is a crime scene. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just really happy that you could come and have a yarn. And
yeah, well, I think it's people like yourselves and others, but I think what people have to do is really mobilise. This is a time of mobilisation, and I don't mean to take anything away from young Hickey, but we mobilise then, but we've got to keep mobilising. The world is under attack from racism, and you see the growth in the Nazism. I think there was down there, particularly in Melbourne, it's starting to grow legs. I
Terrible.
think people have to nip it in the butt and have to keep a visual on this stuff. And I think Australia has a growing place. People have to take back possession and take back responsibility of where the country's going.
For sure.
The debate with that, if you call a Jew, you call a person out that's got Jewish origin that supports the Gaza action, you're called a racist. You know? If you call a white person out for voting no in the elections, you're a racist. And you look at, I call it the global racism force, which is Netanyahu and Trump and Dutton, who are all choosing to operate outside the United Nations.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's really important. The show is just about to end, Uncle, but I'd really like to have you back. Is that okay if I call you again?
Yes, well, I think we should be talking and people should be watching what's happening with this global racism trend, especially the attacks that South Africa and like-minded countries are under from the US.
Absolutely. Thanks, Uncle. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye. And that's all we have time for today. Thank you also to Karina from 3CR for her incredible solidarity for the Doin Time show. And we're going to be going out now with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella by the Rumpy Band. Stay tuned every Monday from 4 to 5 for the Doin Time show. Bye.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast. If you found it valuable, please consider donating or subscribing to support independent community radio. To find out more, go to 3cr.org.au.